Aw, come on. What is this? You wait until the second to last episode to give us a small glimpse of hope that this show isn't 100% trash, and then you give us this?
Can we not do Todd gets Hulk powers?
Erasing blood clot.
And Bruce swooping down from literal outer space to save the day in my story?
Recalculating. And Abomination?
After all that, I just want him to hold himself accountable.
Okay.
Fuck off, show. Look, to each their own, and if you enjoyed this show, that is absolutely more than fine. But it's an entirely different discussion when deciphering if it's well written or not. It's not. But let's dive a bit deeper to not just elaborate on why, but also give the writers a smidgen of credit for a few minor bits of going for it, I guess. For example, the very beginning of the episode was indeed a well-made homage to the Incredible Hulk television series from 1977. There's barely any differences between the two openings if you play them side by side, and I give the showrunners a lot of props for matching it up so well to the old intro. And to be honest, I even felt the non-CGI She-Hulk from the opening here looked more impressive in some ways than the actual She-Hulk has for the majority of the show. And crazy enough, the non-CGI version is played by a man. Holy shit! Sadly, immediately preceding the entertaining beginning, the majority of everything turns to utter ridiculousness. Jen's locked up now after her outburst from last episode and gets paid a visit from her lawyer crew, but instead of assuring her they'll find a way to get her out or attempting to see or defend her side, Mallory blames her for getting angry because
You're not just anyone, you are an out-of-control Hulk.
Excuse me? What an incredibly outlandish statement, and one that you'd think her lawyer crew would be siding against. They've worked with her for a while now, it seems, and have witnessed numerous occasions where Jen was in complete control of herself as She-Hulk. I don't think one incident of property damage, briefly picking up a guy and letting him go scratch-free, is enough to justify she's out of control. But whatever, they let her go free so long as she keeps wearing one of those devices that stops her from transforming anymore. Don't worry though, it never actually stops her from doing anything. Just an excuse to get her out of jail so she can get back to tracking down Intelligentsia. But after finding herself to be too stressed, she decides to head over to Emil Blonsky's retreat. While she's gone, Nikki takes over the search and gets immediately invited to an Intelligentsia meeting by simply uploading a video of Jen dancing in college. Why that would be enough to instantly receive an invite from the head of the organization is beyond me, but then again we've been told a few times now that Intelligentsia is just a bunch of dumb, desperate guys, so I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. So Nikki sends Pug in undercover, and crazy enough, the Intelligentsia meeting is taking place at Emil's retreat. As Pug tries his best to hold a conversation with a group of absolute tools that are just standing around talking shit about She-Hulk, we find out that the rich douchebag Todd is in fact Hulk King. Then Abomination comes in to be some sort of weird motivational speaker before Jen stumbles in and discovers what's really going on there. Todd reveals he obtained her blood and injects himself with some, becoming his own version of a Hulk. But before much else can happen, Titania does her signature Kool-Aid Man entrance and Hulk bursts through the ceiling out of nowhere. In case you're wondering what in the absolute hell is going on at that moment, you're not alone. Apparently Jen feels that way too, so she breaks out of her show and jumps through Disney Plus into Marvel's Assembled, the show about the making of the shows. Though she's now in a completely new world with no sense of direction, she promptly heads straight to the She-Hulk writer's room and starts complaining about how shitty the finale is. And when it's claimed this is the finale Kevin wanted, she wastes no time in seeking him out, which she does with no issue whatsoever. But just when you thought we'd get a brief appearance and a good old speech from Kevin Feige himself, we find out that Kevin being referred to here is just an AI who programs the MCU stories. So what the hell is there a writer's room for? It reminds me of Space Jam 2 when they made you think Michael Jordan was gonna pop up and then we got Michael B. Jordan instead. Funny enough, there was an AI making all the big creative decisions in that movie as well. Makes one start to question if that's how they're really putting some of this shit together nowadays. The conversation between Jen and Kevin results in Jen requesting a different ending for her show. Her closing argument is that the typical Marvel ending isn't apparently appropriate or fair for her because her life fell apart right as she was starting to learn to live as both Jen and She-Hulk. Too fucking bad. You know what makes your story more compelling? When just as you begin to get a grip on things, your whole world gets thrown for a loop. It's an effective storytelling element that leads to character development, something she's in desperate need of. What is there to learn if you can simply choose to make your problems go away? Which is exactly what she does here. As if she was in possession of the Reality Stone, Jen picks and chooses which way she wants her story to go and which plotline should and shouldn't be involved. So, what actually happened then? Did Todd even get Jen's blood? Did Josh even sleep with Jen? Why would he if the stealing of the blood plot line was erased? Wouldn't that also mean she would have never encountered the Wrecking Crew? Why wouldn't she go back to change the moment she lost her shit in the first place and get her job and life back? Why is she allowed to be She-Hulk again afterwards? If she's consciously allowing Emil to be thrown back in jail for turning back into Abomination, shouldn't she be held accountable for doing the same? Or was the case against her dropped? Did she make the case disappear? What the fuck was Titania's purpose for being there? Sorry, my brain started to hurt from the lack of logic here. And it's not just the lack of logic, it's the lack of story. Yes, there's the showcasing of Jen having the internal battle of being okay with living as She-Hulk, lackluster as it may be. But why is it such a wrong thing to include an actual villain? What's so wrong with testing her physically just as she's been tested mentally and emotionally? How can a character effectively grow and evolve if they aren't presented with anything to overcome? It's a lazy, half-assed, and disappointing way to resolve the issues at hand because it didn't resolve them at all. It eradicated their existence so they were never issues to be resolved in the first place. And it's awfully tough to respect the creativity behind the extent of the fourth wall breaking when all it amounts to is, yeah, never mind, forget that other stuff ever happened. Because what they went for here is cool. I love the whole concept of breaking through into the real world and confronting the writers on the direction of the ending. But if you're gonna be that innovative to take that route, then you have to provide just as satisfying of a payoff. And this wasn't. To bring the whole episode to a close, we get a Fast and Furious style family meal outside where Hulk shows up and introduces his son Scar, which is one of the only positive takeaways in my opinion. Though I think his design could use some work, his introduction to the MCU is a big sign to me that we're going to see the World War Hulk storyline at some point, which would be epic if done correctly. Oh, and then there's an after-credit scene where Wong helps Emil escape jail, so apparently Jen throwing him back in there was pointless. But that's about all I have to say on this one. Can't say I'm rooting for a second season, but they've made it clear there will most likely be one, and if there is, I'll go in with an open mind and hope they've learned from their mistakes. Only time will tell. Hey, one more important thing before you go. Supposedly good fortune comes your way when you like this video. Something about karma, I think. What goes around comes around, all that mumbo jumbo. I've been told it comes to you quicker when you subscribe. Might as well give it a shot, right? Okay, bye.